Everyone tells you just use AI, but nobody actually shows you what to do once you open it. So today, I'm walking you through every single Google Gemini feature step by step so you can finally stop guessing. I'm Sadie. I've spent over 10 years in data and AI, mass deploying AI tools at a Fortune 500 company, and now I teach people how to actually use this stuff without the tech jargon. And honestly, Gemini is one of the most underrated AI tools out there right now. We're going to cover how to connect it to your entire Google Workspace so it can read your emails, scan your calendar, and search your drive, the research features that let you fact check in real time with actual sources, image generation, video creation, and the creative tools most people don't even know existed, plus the power user feature that will make you wonder why you were ever paying for any other AI tools. Oh, and most of this is completely free. So let's break it down. So the first thing you're going to do is go to gemini.google.com, and what you'll see is that right away there is the chat function, and you can go in and ask for a tip. It works right away, right? You can even click one of their pre-starters like Inspire Me, and you'll see that you get something out. However, you really want to make sure that you have an account for a couple reasons. One, if you go down here, you can see that I only have access to the fast model. I don't have access to the Thinking with Pro 3. Second, when I don't have an account, I can't go back and see my previous chats, right? So I want to make sure that I can see my previous chats. Plus, I want it to get to know me a little bit more. First and foremost, go ahead and sign in. Pretty much everyone has a Google account. If you don't sign up, it's completely free. Okay, so now you can see that I am signed in to my Pro account, and I have access to a couple different models. I have access to the fast model, and then I have access to the Thinking Pro model. The difference between these two really depends on what you're trying to do. When I'm doing math problems or really complex tasks, I want to make sure I'm using the Thinking Pro model because it's going to take more time, but I know it has a higher likelihood of being right versus hallucinating and getting the wrong answer. Versus if I just need like a quick answer to something, I'm going to use the fast model. For example, a good use case for thinking is I'm currently remodeling my house and I have a bunch of calculations for tile and I need to calculate the square footage. So I have that in a spreadsheet here, but I just want to make sure it's correct. So I'm going to upload the tile counts and I'm just going to ask it to make sure everything is correct in the calculations. So this is an example where it's a more complex process and I really wanted to make sure that it's taking the time to think through things versus I would use the fast model if I was just brainstorming something or, I needed it to edit an email real quick for me. That's a good time to have the fast model. What I like about the thinking model is it's also going to show me the code for how it's coming up with this calculation. So I could go back and double check its work as well. But as you can see, like it's going to take a lot more time, right? It's not going to just be like, cool, here's your answer. It's going and you're going to have to wait a little bit. So use the thinking model when you need to be 100% sure something is correct. Okay, so that took about 2 minutes. And the great part is I knew this had an error in it because I already had looked at this file. But what's exciting about this is it actually found the error and it broke it down. So one of the errors that it found was calculated for the square foot of the shower floor and it had it as 108 square feet and I only actually need 27 square feet. And it breaks down all the calculations and the impact of it and what that looks like. So it also changes the price as well, which is fantastic. Okay, now I'm gonna start a new chat. And what I wanna show you is connecting it to your workspace. And what's great about connecting it to your Google Workspace is if you use Google Calendar, Google Drive, all of that, it can actually search on your data and your information. So I'm just gonna ask a question here. Can you tell me what is on my calendar this week and what meetings I need to prepare for? So what it's doing now is actually going to look at my Google account and my calendar to see what events I have. However, this is my personal account. So I do not use Google Workspace for my personal items. And what you'll see is it's going to come back and find that there's really nothing to prepare for. Additionally, you'll see that here it's using the thinking model and look how long it's taking. This should be a really quick task. I don't want it to take that long. So I'm going to stop this. I'm actually just going to copy my prompt and I'm going to start a new chat and I'm going to go to the fast model and paste it in there because it should happen a lot faster and you'll get to see the difference between like thinking and not. And see automatically before I even finish it says you don't have any events this week. But I do want to show you what this looks like when you do have events. I'm going to show you what this looks like for a work calendar. And so this is my work account and If you do not have Google Workspace turned on, you'll either need to contact your admin, or what you'll need to do is go down to the admin section. In the admin section of your Workspace account, you'll find this generative AI, and so you'll click on that. And once you click on it, you want to make sure that it says the status is on for everyone so that it can connect also to your Workspace apps, and you can see that it's connected here as well. So once I go there, I'm going to open up the Gemini from this account, and now I'm going to ask the same question, which is what's on my calendar for this week and help me prepare for my meeting. Again, you can see this is with the fast account, and so this will be looking a little bit faster. So it's searching my calendar. And this time, this is one of my work accounts, and so it should find information. And it came back and said that it found 2 events to help me prepare. It's going to draft some talking points. It starts to draft those here as well. So you can see how helpful it is when you connect Gemini to your Workspace, because it will actually give you recommendations based off of your information and your data. Next, I want to show just Gemini in Gmail in general. So you can click on the Gemini icon up above here, and it even has great prompts for you to start with, which is just what can Gemini do in Gmail? It does a lot of things, which is great to have, again, by summarizing long email threads, and can integrate with your other apps. It can help with Gmail functions such as filters. So you can essentially just like ask Gemini here to be your assistant and clean up any emails that you want. So let's just first break down some of the tools here. So you'll see there's the plus sign, and then you also have the tools section. The plus sign allows me to upload files either from my drive, photos, or right from my computer. And then these tools allow me to do different types of searches or different type of prompts. And so I'll go through each of these, where I'll show you what deep research is, creating images, guided learning. And we already talked about then the different model types. Typically, I'm always using the fast model unless I'm doing anything with like coding or math, or that needs to make sure the answer is like 100% correct. So in this instance, I just want to use the fast model, and I don't need any special tools because I'm going to have it summarize a document for me. And this document that I want it to summarize is a recent press release that my company had, and I want to just make sure I'm up to date on what happened. So I'm going to upload the PDF, and I'm just going to ask it to tell me the main point of this press release in 1 sentence. So this is a very long sentence. It talks about how HMCI and Raptor are deploying NVIDIA systems and what this means for the greater Sacramento region. I know this is correct because this is my press release, but this is really great to just summarize documents and consolidate them into one mode. Now that I know what this press release is about, I want to make my own version of this press release. So I'm going to go down here to the tools, and I'm going to select Canvas, because this is going to allow me to co-create with Google Gemini. So I'm going to select Canvas, and I'm going to say, write a new version of this press release that I can edit. And because I selected Canvas down here at the bottom, what you'll see is it pops up a second kind of side window here where I can edit this directly in the document. So if I want to remove the section that says Greater Sacramento and just say inclusion for the region, I can do that. It allows me the option to even change the tone, so I can also make additional suggestions. Here we can co-create. Instead of me giving a prompt and copy paste, I'm able to actually edit on the document. And then what I love about this as well is I could also create a web page from it, an infographic, a quiz. Like there's a lot of additional things that I can do with this. But what is most helpful is this button right here at the side of create, which is share, and I can export this to a document. So let's say that I am excited about this and I want to export it to a document to now share with the rest of my team. I already have a really beautiful like pre-formatted press release here that now I can take and share it with like the rest of my teammates. Now let's talk through one of my favorite tools in Gemini, and that is the deep research tool. Why I love deep research is it's going to take some time, but it's going to really search the web and dive, no pun intended, deep into all of the resources. And so I love this when I'm doing secondary research. So secondary research is when I'm looking for sources to cite or I'm studying something new. So recently I have been interested in quantum computing. And so I want to do a deep research on quantum computing and like, what are the latest research papers, and write this in a report that really like makes it simple for me to understand. So I'm going to start there. Okay, so I have my prompt. I want you to find the latest research on quantum computing, use scientific journals, but summarize it in a simple manner and write it in a story at a 5th grade level. So I want it really easy to understand. And then I can select the sources. So again, I could search through my Gmail, my Drive, if I wanted to research that. Or another great way is to add files. So if you're like consolidating a lot of information together, that's a great way to do it. I'm not consolidating information. I'm having it actually search the web. And so I'm not uploading any files. What's great about the deep research side is it actually breaks down for you what it's doing, like a research assistant. Like you're going and telling it what to do. And then it's like, here's what I'm going to do, Sadie. And it says, I'm going to first research these websites, right? And it talks about how it's going to search. It's going to investigate the principles. It's going to identify specific areas. It's going to find examples. So it breaks down and tells you everything that it's going to do. Then it's going to analyze the results, create the report. So if you like what it's going to do, you can say start research, or you can edit the plan. I'm fine with this. So I'm just going to say, yes, that looks good. Start the research. But what you can really think of this like is a research assistant that you have, that you tell it what to do. And so it comes up with a plan and it comes back to you as like, you're the manager, and it says, is this a good plan? Like, do you have any recommendations? And you get to have a back and forth conversation, and then it goes and does the work. So really put your mindset in the mindset of like being a manager, because that's how you can work best with these tools. Or you can see what it's doing. You can switch between the sources it's browsed or just show its thinking. I really like to look at how many different sources it has browsed, and you can just see how far it's going and spanning. This is again like something I just wouldn't have the time to do. And I think it's just a great resource when you're looking for new interesting sources or combining information together. Okay, and so now you can see the final report, Quantum Frontier, and it's a really beautiful report. Here again, I can share and export this to docs, or I can also create some web pages, infographics, or quizzes. So this is super cool. If I'm using this as like a learning tool, what I can do is then create some flashcards. So let's say that I read this full report and now I want some flashcards to quiz myself on quantum computing and the latest research, so 2024 to 2025, and what it all means. One of the other tools I really enjoy working with is the guided learning tool. And why the guided learning tool is great is because it will not just give you the answer. So if you want to use this as a tool to help with studying for yourself or maybe with your kids, this is a great option to turn on. So it doesn't just tell you the answer, because it's extremely smart. And so you would maybe don't want it to just give you the answer all the time. So I could just start simple and say, I want to learn about quantum computing. So this started very broad, and it gives me a quick overview, and then it allows me to pick like, which areas would you like to dive into first? And so what I'm going to say is, let's go into quantum entanglement. And so it gives me the breakdown of this, but also it has links here, so I can source any of this back as I'm learning it as well. And then I can ask for some simple things like, can you create some flashcards to quiz me on this? Okay, so this is awesome because look, what are the characteristics of two entangled qubits? That is exactly what I was just asking it to teach me, right? We start with quantum computing, then I said quantum entanglement, and it already created some cards here for me that are super personalized and specialized. So let me go through, and it already said, nope, that's wrong, but I can go to the next one, right? So this is really, really cool because it allows me to have really personalized learning, and it's like having your own personal tutor right in your back pocket for free. One of Gemini's most loved features is its image generation called Nano Banana Pro. You can see it has a banner up here to try it now. One of the things that it is best at is modifying you. So I wanted it to create a picture of me holding a cake with the logo of OpenAI, and this was for a social post. So what I did was I uploaded a picture of myself, and it created a picture of me holding the birthday cake. I liked it, but again, the logo does not look like OpenAI. OpenAI's logo. So I just had it remove it and just say happy birthday ChatGPT and add 3 candles. But as you can see, it does a pretty good job of creating like a realistic look of you. And that's one of the reasons people love using Nano Banana and its image generation. One of the things I find really hard when I'm creating images is describing the image. And so a tip I have here is to reverse engineer an image. So I have a picture of, it's essentially the bathroom that I want to remodel as. And so what I'm going to ask it to do is to first just describe this image, and this will then allow me to have prompts for it. One of the things that I found also helpful is I don't know how to describe different elements of design, and so it will give me all of these elements. So I'm going to ask it to take this and put together a prompt. And here it was just fast enough to do it itself. And what you can see it did was it just recreated the image like as much as possible. And I think it did overall like a pretty good job. So if you don't know how to describe something, you can always reverse engineer it and give it a prompt showing like what you want it to be, and then reverse engineer it that way. All right, once you have been using Gemini for a while, you'll start to notice you're doing the same thing over and over again. One of the things that I have it do a lot for me is to edit my social posts, because I have dyslexia and my brain just skips words. And so I need an editor to make sure that like it makes sense. So I find myself doing this over and over again, and I want it to have the same style and to keep my voice. And so to do this, what you're going to want to do is create what we call a gem. And so go to the expanded menu, and if you scroll all the way up, you'll see this button, Explore Gems. From here, you'll have your gem manager, so you can explore gems that people have pre-made, or you can make your own. And so what I'm going to show you how to do is make your own gem. And the reason why you want to do this is because if you're telling Gemini to do the same thing over and over and over again, then you just want to have your gem that you don't have to give it those instructions, and it'll save you a lot of time. What's cool about this though is you put in your instructions. Yeah, I'm a social media manager. These are the things that we want you to do. But if you want to make it even stronger, you can even have Gemini help you write the prompt. So I'm just going to rewrite this here with Gemini. It allows me to have more instructions, which is always better. And then I can also edit this. So it wrote a lot more. It again kept it as a social media manager, 1 to 2 actionable suggestions, grammar readability, initial process, greet the user with a confident professional tone, clearly present, revise, general suggestions. I don't think like a lot of this is necessary, so I'm going to remove this portion and then keep the rest. So I can also add docs for reference. So this would be a good time for me to add documents in terms of like what I've used before and how I want it to sound. But for now, I'm just going to save this, and the gem has been created, so I can just start a chat with it. So what you'll see is when I go to Gemini, I can click on my social media manager. I can also click on like a new chat, and that's blank. But this social media manager will allow me to have that very specialized style for creating my post. So I'm just going to paste like the rough draft of my post in here and then see what it comes up with. So it first gives me the 5-row edit, which is great. Then it gives me the actionable suggestion, which I love. And that's exactly what I asked for, which is just to provide 2 recommendations in terms of how I can edit this. So again, create gems because they're really great for repetitive tasks that you're doing all the time and want to operationalize that information. So for most of the session, I have been showing you what you can do in Gemini with the paid version. Again, you can use a free version. You're just going to be limited in terms of how many chats you can have and how many conversations you can have. All this stuff that I just showed you works in the free version. You just aren't going to have as many tries. So like for deep research, you aren't going to get as many tries. For image creation, you get like 1 or 2 tries. If you want more, then you need to upgrade to the Pro, which is $20 a month. And I think it's super easy to determine if it's worth it for you. I would start by just using the free version. Make sure, again, you log in. But then if you find yourself running into the limit all the time and you have more questions or you want to keep doing more things, then upgrade to the Pro. Kind of the same thing goes for the Ultra version. And what that does is much more expensive. So it's a pretty big jump. You have the free version, you have the Pro, which is $20 a month, and then you have Ultra, which is typically $250 a month. But This is really good for if you're making videos. You get 25,000 monthly AI credits. It is a heavy duty usage. I tend to find that I don't use it enough to do that, but particularly if I was using NotebookLM or making a lot of videos, I would need to upgrade to the AI Ultra. Again, what my recommendation is, don't worry so much about, am I using the right one? If you are using the free version and hit the limit, then upgrade to the Pro. If you're using the Pro, hit the limit, then upgrade to the Ultra. Just get started and get using these tools with the freest, the lightest weight option, and then you can upgrade as you push the limits more and more.
If you want to keep learning AI stuff like this, I send out a free newsletter every week. Same energy as this video, actual tutorials, no jargon, stuff you can use the same day you read it. Links in the description. Here's what I want you to do. Pick one feature from this video, just one, and try it out today. Maybe it's deep research for a project you've been putting off, or maybe it's creating a gem for something you do over and over. Maybe it's finally connecting your Google Workspace so Gemini can actually help you with real work. The best way is to learn by doing. So get your hands dirty. If you want more tutorials like this, check out my newsletter. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.